together. And it means a lot to us, but you all mean a lot to us as well. And so each of these three has something to say, and I have something very short to say. Then we'll consecrate the elements of Eucharist, and we'll be able to take communion together this evening. So anyway, I think, Trish, are you first? All right, go for it.
First.
You gotta get in so they can see us.
I don't know. Oh, there I am. Okay. In sharing, I felt, thank you. Okay, in sharing, I felt like what I wanted to talk a little bit about was Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future. Yeah, we're in a movie. Yeah. All right. Christmas past. I just wanted to share with those that we love what a privilege and an honor it's been to be part of New Covenant. And I can honestly stand here and say with full assurance that the task that God set before us for New Covenant has been accomplished. Coming to know the Lord in a personal way in my mid-20s changed my life. I had been a churchgoer my whole life in my younger years, but I had never known that I could have a relationship with God, a personal relationship with God. And when I found that reality is when this journey began, this church began. God asked us to build this church, and his task was to establish and build a firm foundation for the next generation. I know that task is completed, and it's now time for the next generation to grab hold of their task. Please know, this has only been accomplished because of all of your love, faithfulness, and support in building New Covenant with us, of which our dear friends, Tom and Denise, have been so vitally instrumental. What a fun, joyous adventure and blessing this has been. So that's my privilege. It's really been a privilege. For Christmas present, I want to say that New Covenant is pregnant. It is truth that New Covenant is now pregnant with fresh purposes. It is a unique time of change in the world, in the church, and in our lives. It's a new season, it's a new day, and it's an exciting time to grab hold of God's new vision, new hopes, and new dreams. So anticipate this new personally as well as for the church. What an exciting time to be part of New Covenant. And then for Christmas future, it's promise. And I have a charge to New Covenant. As I was praying, I felt like God said, but to you, New Covenant, birthed by my providence and formed in Bethlehem, continue steadfastly in me and with me, in my way of truth and righteousness. My hand is with you, and my eye is upon you, watching and waiting. What say you now, New Covenant? The nations roar, yet peace is found in me. Confusion thrives, yet who dispenses clarity? Lean into the plans and purposes that I have promised and designed for you. For those that wait upon the Lord will receive my direction. It's my presence that will light your path. Ears tuned to my prophetic stirring will rejoice in the wonder and the goodness of their King. Thank you so much, New Covenant.
How y'all doing?
Good.
You want to take a bathroom break? We're going to be saying a lot of the same things probably because we've all experienced this whole thing together. So we might be repeating ourselves a little bit, but that's okay. It's a good thing. Back in the beginning, we were pregnant, back 40 years ago, but we didn't know it. We were like a small group of 25 or so people in their living room with a few guitars, singing songs that we just had in our heads. There was no songbooks or words on the wall. There was just us and God, and we worshiped, and there was a lot that went on. It was awesome. And God started birthing something in us as a small group of people. We had passion for Him, and we just kept on meeting together Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. And it became apparent that He really wanted us to start a work, so we moved from building to building because we kept outgrowing it. And we had relationships even before the church began with people around the valley, and they came, and the bonds with those friends became stronger, and it was building the foundation that God wanted and He was putting together. And it was something very unique in the Lehigh Valley on original Moravian soil. Every time we moved, even from their house to Kurt's Training Center to Linden Street to finally here, it was always on soil that was originally owned by the Moravians. So there was a connection there. And Grub went to seminary over here at Moravian, and he learned a lot about their heritage and brought a lot of that heritage here. We celebrate a lot of the church calendar and things that we do with the Morning Star Choir and the trombone choir that we had this year. We learned a lot about Christmas from the Moravians. And we just love, as you can tell, we love Christmas here at New Covenant. We celebrate it. We do it up big. But the Moravians were mission-minded people. They came from Germany. I just read today the first landing of Moravians in America was down in Georgia. Where did I say? We went on vacation there. Hilton Head. No, it wasn't Hilton. Savannah, Georgia, sorry. Senior moment. We were just there, actually. That's where the Moravians first came here, and through successions of things with Nitchman and Whitfield, they made it here to Bethlehem, and they had a service a few blocks from here on Christmas Eve. And Count Zinzendorf started singing that old song, and we used to sing it, Lowly Bethlehem. And that's where the name of the city came from, because he was caught up in the Spirit as he sang that. And even the people wrote about it, how he was worshiping with that old Christmas carol. And they named this town Bethlehem after that. And I wanted to read something here. The continuity of leadership that these guys, the leaders, put together is amazing through the many years that they brought elders on and leadership here in this church. The continuity just held. It was just amazing how God used that. And I wanted to read just a short line out of this book called Pipeline Succession at Every Level. It says, leaders build an army, not just an audience. We must shift the conversation from talking about our church's seating capacity to its sending capacity. So we have a connection there with the Moravians. We are going to be known more for sending out than we are for bringing people in. That was a prophetic word here a few months ago. And so that's exciting because it's different. It's not that we're after a gigantic mega church. We're seeing people come to the Lord because of who we're sending out. We've sent out many, many people, short-term and long-term. But we're passing the baton to a new leadership with similar DNA, but with some unique differences and abilities than we have. And we're so pleased to be able to send that off. It's kind of like a baby in a mother's womb that has differences from the mother, blood type, personality traits. We're passing on a vision that God birthed in us, and He's now asking them to continue building. Mm-hmm. And it's exciting to see what God's going to do.
Woo!
So our theme this Advent season in New Covenant has been pregnant, anticipating the promise of God. And when we started as a small church back in the early 80s, just like a woman pregnant with her first child, we had no idea what to expect or how our lives were going to change. And they changed. And at the time, the leaders were just simply responding to what they believed was the call of God, and they were obedient. And New Covenant was birthed. So we had the promise of God to stand on, and we just went from there. We started out small, a circle of about 20 people in a rented space with 3 guitars, strategically placed around a circle. And as we grew, our circle expanded. And then we added another circle around the first circle. And we continued to grow and move locations as we outgrew our space. Today, some 40 years later, NC4, New Covenant, is a church of over 600 with 2 campuses, a worship team of over 35, elders, pastors, deacons, various ministries and leaders. And I step back and I'm overwhelmed at God's goodness and favor when I think of where we started to where we are now. It's been an amazing journey, and walking that journey together with Grubby and Trish, it's been a treasure. They are family to us. Their kids are family. We raised our children in this church, and now there are 3 generations of our family attending NC4. And over the span of NC4's life, Grubby and Trish had 4 generations of family. So even our families are knit together in some strange, magical, wonderful way. I wish I could stand up here and say something magical and profound. All I can say is that I know that I've been changed as a result of this journey in ways that I cannot explain. And as hard as it has been at times, I feel blessed and honored that God called me to walk this path. And as we all begin to prepare to pass our batons to the next generation, I want to say the journey isn't always easy. It's been hard at times. It's been stressful at times. But God's grace is always sufficient, and it's always worth it. Yeah. The lessons we have learned, the depth of friendships that we have encountered, I wouldn't trade it for anything. As our race is finishing, our legs are tired because we've been running for 40 years. We look to those second runners, the next generation, ready to take our batons as we pass them, and then it becomes their race to run. I'm filled with hope and excitement as they begin their race, and I know that the 4 of us will be their biggest supporters and their loudest cheerleaders. Merry Christmas.
Woo!
If you knew how hard it was to get her to do that, holy moly. We were going to fire her. So, okay, mine's real short. One of the neatest things about Christmas, as far as I'm concerned, is the truth that God enters His own creation, and it's that creative people are like that. I mean, C.S. Lewis said, when I wrote Aslan, when I wrote the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but the painful thing was I couldn't get into it. I couldn't enter the very thing that I was conceiving. Well, God did that. He became one of us, yeah? And so, but I look upon where we're going as we didn't create New Covenant. We all created New Covenant. But I moved from a position of responsibility and other kinds of things and I'm moving into the creation. Like, I'm sitting out there next year, and I don't have to get heartburn before Christmas figuring out what we're going to do. So, I mean that. So anyway, I do mean that. Anyway, so what we're going to do, Makunji, and for those of you, she's dragging me over here. Okay. For those of you, we got this camera thing. So for those of you at home who are watching, please join us in communion. Grab some crackers or bread and a little wine or grape juice. And Makunji, of course, we're with you guys and gals, and I'm going to consecrate the elements. You'll take communion there. We'll take communion here. So let's do that right now. Excuse me. You guys stay up here, and